Ajay Srivastava as well joining in. And Ajay, we're attributing this downfall to a number of factors, but what do you think is spooking the markets the most?
I think it's a simple equation that when a demand slowdown of this magnitude takes place and there is still policy disruptions of the negative kind, like the EV policy which came in, then obviously there is hope is lost because one is the demand slowdown, second is an active policy framework to address it. And when the market finds that instead of a positive framework, it becomes negative, then you give up hope. And I think what is happening now is basically people are giving up hope. So far, we were trading with hope and lots of things going to happen and so on. But I think we reached a point where people are just giving up. It's a capitulation of the market. And I'm not sure whether there's one factor, but I think psychologically investors are giving up.
Ajay, hi, morning. And the sad part is that company after company that we're talking to on quarterly earnings, VIP just 5 minutes back, literally, they all seem to be clueless on when this recovery is actually going to play out. Be it Ajay Piramal or Dilip Piramal, they all seem to be indicating that they don't have any clarity on when this economic recovery is actually going to play out. Do you think that's going to be pretty much the state of the market as well, and thereby the pain is going to be more lasting? This is not it. We are not going to stop sub that 11K mark for the Nifty.
Actually, that's why I said, in the policy framework that we see today, we don't understand that instead of a supportive policy, it's all negative. We look at the NHB guidelines on the subvention schemes. That came out of the blue in a real estate market, which is crying for attention. So I don't blame the industrialists. I think they don't know what's happening, but I can tell you one thing. Investors know what's happening, and he is voting with his demat statements. He's voting with his sales right now. He's voting with the shorts. Investors are very clear. Even industrialists are not so clear. And the reason they're not clear, perhaps, is that they want to make polite sounds. They can't be negative about their companies too much. But the fact remains that we are looking for a much, much bigger slowdown. And impact will ultimately come onto the banks because as the bank lending and recoveries will come to a problem area very soon. If you can't sell, how do you pay the loans? As simple as that. So I think there needs to be a very strong policy between RBI, government, everybody has to come, and we have to stop negative policy formulation, this NHB thing, this EV thing, etc. It just has to stop before you get some confidence back in the system. Having said that, let me on the other side argue the fact that I think lots of very good companies are now going very, very cheap. So if you've not been an investor, if you've never been in the market, if you're not seeing the mayhem on your equity accounts, I think you've got to be ready with your checkbook to buy something. Very good stuff now is available in the market to buy and a while. So I think you're reaching a point where if you're not over-invested in the market, you could be on the buying side in a matter of days.
Ajay, because the name is just, the list is so selective. Just day before you had an ICICI Bank, which did impress Street, but the other twin, Axis, which also everyone was betting on, has actually, disappointed the markets with higher provisioning and slippages, etc.
But, having said that, I think there'll be at some point, you got to relate the value and the price of the shares to what's intrinsically going to the worst case scenario for these companies. You're right. They may face pain over a certain period of time. But at the end of the day, if you're looking at a little longer term horizon, they will bounce back, they will come in. And the good part is, the reason they will come in is not because they're doing well. The good part is they'll come in because the smaller banks will be left far behind. So, so if you're an investor, I would say, if you've got any small bank in your portfolio, except unless backed by somebody serious, you need to get out of it and get into the larger banks. If you got the problems today with the smaller portfolio, get out. There lots of good quality stuff available in the market. So even in this market, I think there are pockets you can buy. You saw what's happening I'll just give you an example. I'm not giving you a recommendation to buy or sell. But if you see the example of, say, Iron Exchange, for instance, that's a quality stock in a quality industry, seeing so much of buying and selling. Now you can get an opportunity to get in at 610, you want to sell at 680, or you get in at 680, wait it out and so on. So, go case by case. It's going to be mayhem, but you will find pockets. If you look at the multiplex guys, these have corrected substantially. Eventually, there'll be equilibrium in terms of share price and profitability. So plan your portfolio. I think these are the times when you really plan your portfolios and buy what you like most. So having said all the slowdown will happen next 3 months, nothing great going to happen, but also start planning your portfolio to buy some of these stocks because steep correction gives you a chance to get back again, which you never thought is going to be possible just about a month back.
I know you gave an example right now, but I think investors seeing this big sell-off are listening to you, would want to know that if they're taking out their checkbooks, where is it that they can find that opportunity, even within the broader end of the market?
See, it's very simple. You have to go for the large size. You got to go for the market leaders. Now, if you go industry to industry, you will find there are not more than one or two stocks which are the market leaders, who have now becoming relatively cheaper. Now, obviously, you will not go for Bajaj twins in terms of the finance, because they're really very expensive stocks, right? You would tend to go for the other ones at some point in time. HDFC Bank will stabilize, and you want to go back to those kind of stocks. If you look at Multiplex, as we discussed, if you look at the aviation stock, every industry has one or two leaders, and focus your mind. Let's say people who missed out buying Asian Paint. Asian Paint has a stellar record for last, 20 years, if I'm not wrong, consistently
Sure.
rewarding the shareholders.
Right.
You might want to start looking at each market leader.
All right, Ajay, thank you for joining us with your outlook on the markets.